Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam, rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Tariq Khalid. I'd like to welcome to our program at Sharjah Media Corporation on getting closer to Allah, getting closer to your Lord, getting to know who is your Lord, putting this into perspective in a correct manner. For what? Our individual and collective benefit. For the benefit, for my benefit in this world and the hereafter, for the benefit of my family, for the benefit of my town, my nation, for the benefit of all of humanity. So we start with the smallest, which is me personally, to the biggest, which is all of humanity. And that should be our ultimate aim, because that was the aim of our dear beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that every single human being and jinn, from the time that he was on this earth to the end of time, would have the proper invitation to the oneness of Allah, knowing who He is, and giving the choice after knowing to obey Him, and given the choice of success or failure. Yes. Everyone is not given this choice in this world, is it? We have many people who are born into servitude today, and they stay in that position until they die. Today. People can say, oh, well, slavery was abolished a long time ago. No, slavery is going on big time today in many places in the world, without question, in one way, shape, form, or another. So there are many people who are born into servitude today, and their lives don't change, meaning they stay in that condition until they die, because they are being controlled. It is something being imposed on them. But Islam can free that person. Islam can free that person, that regardless of your condition, you can be a free man or free woman. That's right, because no one can control your spirit, your soul, your heart. So give your heart, regardless of what your condition is, give your heart to Allah. Your body, the condition of your body can be, it can be in many forms. You can be in comatose, but you're still aware, as an example. You can be paralyzed. You can be crippled in one way or another. You can be mentally disabled. There are a lot of things can happen to us physically that we cannot control. But our soul, our heart, we need to discipline this heart and incline that heart to our Creator. That's right. For example, there are many people who are looking at me right now, their hearts are sick. Why? And I'm saying this to those who are out there, if you're looking, and I'm saying sickness, and I want to talk about one of the sicknesses, because you're judging me by what you see, what face you see, what clothing you see. This is a sickness. We have been trained to judge by that. You're not judging by what is being said. You're judging by what is being seen. You hit the button and cut it off because of what you see. I don't like the way that guy looks. Of course, it's another thing if you say you don't like what I'm saying, that's different. But you see me, you don't like me. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know what I'm saying, but you see me. This is a sickness. And this distortion is something that Satan has influenced our hearts. There's an old adage, old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. In the English-speaking world, we all know this. But yet and still, our brainwashing system, and that's what I'm going to call it, our brainwashing system has taught us certain things. Oh, those people, see that guy with that gray beard? Those old guys with white beards, you got to watch out for them. They're very dangerous. They're trying to lead you to something. They're trying to brainwash you, or they're trying to distract you. They're dangerous. You know. Oh, those black people, see, he's a black guy. Those black people, see, they're all alike. They're like this and like this and like this and like that. Oh, you see those people who wear white? They are holier than thou. They think that they're better than you. They think that they're closer to God than you. They think they know better than God, that God has guided them, and you're just an ignorant fool to them at their feet. I just gave you 3 scenarios, okay, which relate to me specifically. And those 3 scenarios you can use with any person in one way or another. And I know that these things are going on with people because I personally have experienced it. And I'm not blaming anyone, because I understand also this dynamic that we are creatures of our environment. And regardless of whatever environment is that we have been raised in, as much as we may be resistant to it, that we are influenced in some instances very, very deeply by it. And in some instances controlled by it. So much so that our whole life is impacted by misguidance, unfortunately. And some people never come to guidance, never come to grips, or the reality of who they are and what is happening in their life. So Islam offers us an alternative to that. The clear guidance, the true enlightenment of the heart, of the soul. The real opportunity to have the ultimate success, the ultimate relationship with your Lord, who, if we look at it from this perspective, all of us, if we aspire for anything in this world, we aspire to be around people who are people of substance. What do we mean by that? And that can be on a lot of levels. It could be an academic point of view. It could be intellectual. It could be financial. It could be physical presence and status. So, and all of us, in some way or another, strive to be with people of substance in one way or another. And it's tiered, isn't it? Where we wind up, and that's by Allah's decree. Some of us, when we say the cream rises to the top, so we're at the top of the pyramid, again in those categories, in these areas. And of course, down tiered, depending upon where it is that you wind up. So we want to elevate our status to the highest point possible. That's right. And the highest point possible is the prophets of Allah. And to get closest to that is to obey the Prophet ﷺ and ultimately obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every aspect of our life. That's the challenge. That's the test. And the external factors that relate to that, meaning the human beings who we come in contact, who attempt to distract us from this path, that we begin to neutralize the impact of their influence. And that also goes with our training. Because most of us have been trained in a way to be in conflict with the total submission to Allah, to even fear it, let alone submit and see what happens in your life. So let's see. And Abu Dhar said, the Prophet ﷺ said, and Abu Dhar was a very special person. He was a very pious person. And among the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, he was considered among the most pious by them. So you can imagine what kind of person he was. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said more or less, "O my slaves," and Allah's talking to us, "I have prohibited myself injustice and have made oppression unlawful for you. So do not oppress one another." So Allah says, I am not imprisoning you. I'm not enslaving you, even though I created you. I am not unjust. Be just. Be just. We should be very careful about this. O my slaves, all of you are liable to err except the one whom I guide on the right path. So seek guidance from me so that I will guide you to the right path. Seek guidance from Allah so you'll be rightly guided. Seek guidance from Allah. Ask yourself, who Who are we seeking guidance from? In most instances. Think about it. And people are going to become more and more inclined towards this as the information systems become more and more informed about you, and they begin to promote that we have taken from the minds of 10 of the most intelligent people, and now we've made a database, and you can tie into that database. So people will begin to think that database, they're already thinking like this, that one particular, and I won't name a particular business that's dealing with IT in one form or another, some apps, whatever it might be, that this is the ultimate. And as a result, I turn to them and I will have all of the information. No. We must go back and understand the distinction between the Creator and his creation. That whatever man does, whatever every man does until the end of time, it is just like a bubble on the sea or a grain of sand in the desert to the knowledge of our Creator. O my slaves, all of you are hungry except the one whom I have fed. So ask food from me, I will feed you. O my slaves, all of you are naked except those whom I clothe. So ask clothing on me and I shall clothe you. Allah is saying that whatever you have, food, clothing, good mind, is from Allah. So ask from Allah. O my slave, you commit sins night and day, and I forgive all sins. So seek my forgiveness, and I shall forgive you. O my slaves, you can neither do me any harm, nor can you do me any good. So you think that you're doing good has some impact on Allah, or you think that you're doing bad is going to impact Allah one way or another? No. It's going to impact you. It's going to impact what happens to you in this life and the hereafter. O my slaves, you commit sins night and day, and I forgive all sins, so seek my forgiveness, and I shall forgive you. O my slaves, you can neither do me any harm nor any good. O my slaves, you were the first of you and the last of you, the human of you and the jinn of you, to be as pious as the most pious heart of any man of you. That would not increase my domain a thing. So Allah is saying that if all of creation became pious, or all of creation became evil, it would not impact Allah in one way or another. O my slaves, were the first of you and the last of you, the human of you and the jinn of you, to be as wicked as the most wicked heart of any man of you. That would not decrease my domain in a thing at all. O my slaves, were the first of you and the last of you, the human of you and the jinn of you, to stand in one place and make a request of me. And were I to give everyone what he requested, that would not decrease that which I have any more than a needle decreases the sea if we're put into it. That if all of creation was to ask and keep asking until the day of judgment, it would not decrease what Allah has. It would be like taking a needle and put it in the ocean, if we could imagine that. O my slaves, it is but your deeds that I reckon for you and then recompense you for. So let him find good in the hereafter. Praise Allah. And let him who finds other than that blame no one but himself. And Saad said, whenever Abu Idris narrated this hadith, he used to fall on his knees, and it's collected by Muslim. So if we are to look at all of the things that Allah has named in this hadith, I'll ask you, where do you stand? What is your present condition? And especially if you're a non-Muslim, and I hope that some non-Muslims are looking at these programs, and that those who are Muslims invite non-Muslims to look at the programs and discuss with them after the program. Well, what did you think? What did you gain? What did you hate? Did you get anything from this? Did you think this was foolishness? Did you think it was just rubbish? Use it as a medium to judge the mentality of the people and to make effort to guide them one way or another. Because surely man is at loss, except those who enjoin righteous conduct, do good deeds, and understand the truth. Understand the truth that what? That there's only one God who is the creator and sustainer of all things. There's only one life. You only live it one time. All of us will return to Allah. What will be our condition is determined by how we lived in this life. As you see, Allah is telling us that whatever we have done does not decrease Allah's capability to do anything. Not whether it's in volume or not, it's of no consequence. So we have an opportunity to change now. We have an opportunity to do a 180 in our life, to pursue truth and righteousness. And the reward is clear in that. People today say, oh, you know, you're Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Why can't you enjoy and have some fun with us? You're too righteous. Have some fun. What makes you think that we're not having fun? What makes you think that we're not enjoying this path of truth and righteousness? We're inviting you out there to this path, to this noble path, that in it, as you saw, are elements which you cannot conceive of. Why? Because Allah has promised. Allah has promised. Allah has blessed this path. That what people see externally can be one thing. And at the same time, these challenges could very well be physical challenges or mental challenges. But on the other end, that generally speaking, Allah has neutralized these things. So we're living in this world, but not of it. We must take into account who we are, what we're doing, where we are going ultimately, and what we leave behind for those who have yet to come. My name is Tariq Khalid. I'd like to thank you for joining us here at Sharjah Media Corporation on getting closer to Allah, getting closer to your Lord, knowing Him, obeying Him, seeking His forgiveness and His mercy, and ultimately to ask to be admitted into His paradise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.